The Republican presidential primary is quickly picking up steam, with 7 candidates currently declared and 3 more expected to announce their campaigns this coming week. In addition to a number of strong candidates making their case to be the nominee and take on Joe Biden, the field is also one of the most diverse primary fields we've ever seen. Now, you would expect liberals to love that last part. Even though they may not agree with the Republican ideas, they surely celebrate diversity. It seems to be their new favorite word after all. But remember how the ladies on The View reacted to South Carolina's first black senator, Tim Scott, joining the race?
He's one of these guys who, he's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
I just love when white liberal women try to educate us black people. It's just crazy. Well, on Monday, Senator Scott will go toe-to-toe with Joy Behar and the rest of The View. And the senator, Tim Scott, joins me right now. Senator, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Lawrence, good to be with you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Senator, I'm just so curious about your appearance that you're getting ready to make on The View. Those ladies have had a lot to say about you when you weren't present at the table. You're going to be sitting with them, but they've attacked you on a personal level. So what do you say to them when you see them about those attacks? I understand the inspirational message, and I think it resonates with a lot of Americans.
Yes.
But what do you plan on telling those ladies when you see them face to face?
Well, listen, here's what we have to know is that the truth of my life disproves the lies of the radical left. What fears them the most about me is I'm the candidate that's actually lived the American dream, starting with the plastic spoon, not the silver spoon. So I have to tell you the truth, Lawrence. While I am concerned about what they say about me, I'm actually used to it. These are the same voices over and over again that want to insult me because I have decided to think for myself. My goal on the show is not to go in there and defend myself. My goal is to defend people like you and defend other people who want to think for themselves and rise to the occasion to be all that they want to be. For that, I will go to the defense of the next generation of Americans to live their lives the way they decide.
Senator, you're definitely a better man than I am. You're going into the lion's den. I want to get your comment on some of the polling that I've seen on the national level. If we can put it up on the full screen. This is the Fox poll for the Republican primary. Donald Trump stands at 53%, Ron DeSantis 20%. Senator, you are at 2%. And I understand your hopeful message for the American people, but in this crowded Republican primary field, I hear a lot of people say they want to fight. Do you think that there is an appetite for that hopeful, inspiring message that you have put out to the American people? Or do they want a bull in the china shop like Donald Trump or a proven governor like Ron DeSantis?
Well, fighting is good. Winning is better. What I offer the American people, and specifically the Republican primary voters, is a chance for us to win. What we haven't done in 7 out of the last 8 general elections for president is win the popular vote. It is time for us to win. The only way our actual policies and our values become law is for us to win. And so I am the candidate that the far left, the radical left, fears the most because, as I said earlier, the truth of my life literally disproves the lies of the left. And radical left Joe Biden is a person who understands why it is that he doesn't want to face me. There is not a name that they can call me that I haven't been called before. Lawrence, when I helped write the tax bill that lowered a single mother's taxes by 73%, they called me a prop. When I said I'm going to refund the police, they called me a token. And when I pushed back against President Biden's agenda, they even called me the N-word. See, I don't care what you call me as long as I have a chance to stand up for the next generation of Americans to make sure that my American dream pales in comparison to the next generations and their dreams coming true as well.
Senator, you talked about some legislation that you wrote. I want to bring your attention to some other legislation. It was the First Step Act. And this is what your opponent, Ron DeSantis, had to say about that piece of legislation. Let's watch it.
He enacted a bill, basically a jailbreak bill. It's called the First Step Act. It has allowed dangerous people out of prison who have now reoffended and really, really hurt a number of people. So one of the things I would want to do as president is go to Congress and seek the repeal of the First Step Act. If you are in jail, you should serve your time. And the idea that they're releasing people who have not been rehabilitated early so that they can prey on people in our society is a huge, huge mistake.
So obviously, Senator, those comments were targeted at former President Donald Trump, but you played a big part in this bill. Before I get you to respond to this, I just want to put some of the factual numbers on there when it comes to the recidivism rate for the federal people that are in federal penitentiary, as well as the First Step Act. The First Step Act is at 12.4%. For the Federal Bureau of Prisons, it's at 43%. So what the governor is saying at its core is not true. But what would you say to Ron DeSantis on this point? He says he wants to get rid of it.
President Trump did a courageous thing when he decided to target 95% of the people who are incarcerated today are coming home from federal prisons. In order to make the community safer, he decided to have legislation written that would actually target the three main areas. Number one, mental health. Number two, educational achievement while incarcerated. And number three, job skills, so that when you go home, you don't recidivate. You don't come back to prison, as you just noticed. The fact of the matter is that the criminal justice reform bill has a significantly lower recidivism rate than the average population, which means that the legislation is working the way it was intended to do so. Here's the one thing I would say. Attacking President Trump is just a terrible idea, especially on legislation that the more you look at it, the better it gets from my perspective. And the fact of the matter, the numbers prove it. We should continue to work to make sure that communities are safer, number one. Number two, that the best wear the badge, and we have more officers patrolling more communities. It's one of the reasons why I continue to work towards legislation to give our officers better training, better resources, so that they can only have the best wear the badge. That's good news for the communities. But at the end of the day, I would simply say this: the road to socialism runs right through a divided Republican Party.
Tim Scott, the great senator from the great state of South Carolina. Sir, thanks so much for taking some time with us this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lawrence. See you soon.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.